some of the video riding with Kenneth, also known as Hizo3 on TW Techs. This is on the CDR2013. Beamer Bob was doing truck duty, and this is from the first 4 days, still riding in Colorado. Going through some of the mountain passes, we passed about 12,000 feet a couple of times, and there was this path that the tracks were supposed to take us through to Marshall Pass, but the main traffic goes through, I guess, a mining area, and it was fenced off, closed off. We couldn't get to it, so we had to do a kind of a detour, and we had to do the detour twice, because first time at the end of the detour we turned the wrong way, and the road, the path kind of merged into itself, so we had to do it a second time. And it was pretty steep, loose rocks, baby head size rocks, and as you can see, it was also raining. So that was a pretty gnarly spot there, because the slope was, the incline was so bad that you really couldn't use the brakes. You can use the brakes as much as you want, but the bike was going to keep sliding, especially three wheels with a lot of weight. It wasn't going to stop, and we had to do it twice, which was interesting. This is before we got to the gnarly part, so this is where we're just riding around, trying to get through, and this video doesn't show the actual fenced off area of the mine. This is actually before we got to it. Actually this, I think, is where we actually detoured, and that's where we saw the little bushes and stuff that you see, and a smaller, less traveled path. And towards the end here we'll get to the gnarly part, and I'll probably do an instant replay of it just to slow-mo it a little bit. Of course, all the slopes are steeper than they look, as always with the video. This is the gnarly part of the track, and yeah, doesn't look that bad in video, but you might be able to get some perspective of the slope looking farther ahead. This is where the slope really started, and you can see the loose rocks. They look kind of small, but they're about baby head size rocks, and so there's no stopping here. You can stop, but it'll keep moving. See Kenneth down there. See the slope. It was pretty bad, and as you can hear all the noise, the rocks hitting the underside. So we'll do a replay. And this is where we should have turned left, but we made a right, and we turned back onto our old track, and we had to do it twice. But it was fun. And this is, I believe this is the Marshall Pass Road, and we're up in the mountains now. You wouldn't believe it, but we had a lot of rain. It was just always following us. I mean, from day one to the last day, we stayed 2 days in Atlantic City, Wyoming, and it still, I mean, it doesn't rain much over there, but it was raining while we were there every day. This is part of a ride in the forest. We passed through some passes and got back into the tree line, and as you can see, it was still raining. Um, it wasn't too bad though. It wasn't hard rain. It was just at this point it was just a little drizzle, and I really didn't want to stop. Kenneth was worried about lightning strikes when we were up on the mountaintops, so we did stop for a little bit, made a makeshift little camp for ourselves with a tarp between the bikes, which worked out great. But I'd rather keep going. You can see some downed trees there. A lot of trees were dead on the mountaintop, so I guess they have a beetle problem up there. But needless to say, great, great place to ride. Didn't have any issues with the elevations or anything. 2 wheels, 3 wheels, doesn't matter. A little mud puddle there. And of course, the trails never look as bad as they really are, especially with the contour roam camera. It gives you a more of a fisheye effect, fisheye lens effect. And but if you look closely, you can see a lot of loose rocks, and they look smaller than what they really were like. But especially when you have some rain and they get a little slippery for 2 wheels, it gets pretty bad. But it really didn't matter on 3 wheels. You just put it into a lower gear and just tractor down or tractor up. Doesn't matter. And actually, I think a lot of these places I didn't even have to engage 2-wheel drive. If you have enough momentum, you'll keep going. Now, if you think you're going to lose momentum, then it's better to put it into 2-wheel before you get to the gnarly spots, as always. But a lot of fun riding. Sometimes it would just open up and we'd get into a valley and it would be just awesome. But if you look down on the trail, there's still some good-sized rocks down there in areas, so you didn't want to let your guard down. You don't want to, take it easy, I guess, while riding. Always need to be focused. For me, it wasn't too bad. You can see now on the trail there's some rocks, but three wheels it really didn't matter much. But for two wheels, Kenneth had to be paying attention, and a lot of times, he would be standing just a lot easier. Um, Going downhill, especially when it was raining a little bit, he would have a hard time. He couldn't use the rear brake at all, and he didn't want to use too much of the front brake either, just because the rocks were slippery with a little drizzle. Um, so that could be bad. And a few times I've seen him where he would kind of slide the bike and stop at 90 degrees. And good thing he's got long legs uh, and he can uh, handle the bike. He did uh, have a little issue uh, on I think it was the fourth day. Uh, we were following one of the locals who was just riding around, and Kenneth was in front of me. He doesn't have a GPS, I do. So we had to make a left turn onto a trail, and Kenneth passed me. So I just stopped at the turn, waiting for him to come back, and he came back after a while, but he had his fall already, and it was a slight get off. He was just making a U-turn, and the rear just gave out, but it did mess up the muscles in his arm and elbow, and so after the fourth day, he was out. He was on truck duty. Fortunately, we got Bob's bike working well, so then it was just Bob and me after that. And as you can see, these slopes don't look as bad as they really were. As always, the video, it never looks the same. Uh, I guess there's really no good reference for the slopes. And the little bit of rain kind of cut the dust down, so it was good. It wasn't too much rain, so it wasn't, muddy and slick everywhere, just in little spots. But it cut down the dust a whole lot. Some days it didn't rain and it was really bad. The dust was just awful.